Okay, great. As we're coming back, I'd like to introduce to you Will Baggett. Will is the Director of Digital Forensics at Operation Safe Escape, former CIA officer specializing in technical and HUMINT operations, and a former NATO Special Forces cybersecurity SME. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Will for the first time 3 years ago, Will, something like that, at a B-Sides event in Las Vegas, so a security conference in Las Vegas. And in that time, I've come to greatly respect him as a researcher and as a technologist, but also as a friend. So, Will?
All right. Thank you for that, Chris. Yeah, that was B-Sides. Was it 2018? It's been a couple of days.
Wow. Yeah, that far.
Yeah. All right. So this talk, it's about 45 minutes. This is our overall framework for how we have our volunteers approach any domestic issue we might encounter, sort of an initial triage. A name of it is Broken Arrow. That comes back from I'm overcaffeinated. That Broken Arrow comes from Army term from when their forces, when their lines are being overrun, and they ask for any and all air support from any available aircraft in the area. In just even the smallest thing, where a Cessna might say, enemy forces are coming in from the east, our forces go to the west, they're off the X, they're not endangering long, just because of one radio transmission. The smallest thing can help get someone out of danger. And to take that mindset, we're working in information security, cybersecurity, and with the domestic issues that some of us are in, we're all inclined, we want to do something. But you might be the best AI specialist at DARPA, making things you can't dream about for the next 75 years. You might sell advertising for Facebook. Highly technical, but when it comes to helping someone who's being monitored by a malicious X or going through a nasty divorce, nasty split, that's everyone in cyber has a different specialty. We're like medical professionals. I wouldn't go to my dentist for an issue with my foot, or you get the analogy. We've got a lot to cover. So we want to do something. So when we log on here, generally, if you have a robust environment at work, you're going to get a consent to monitor. Everything you do is monitored. Every logon, every keystroke, every browser change, every file upload, download, deletion, keystrokes, that's all monitored. And to get into some of the tools we have, you've got Splunk that can monitor any net logon dates, times, badge access, every byte that may go from point A to point B in a heavily regulated environment. That's recoverable. O365 Confluence, O365 with Purview, with Intune, we can see everything your phone does. So even if you're not on the corporate network, but you have something on your phone, we can still track you and see where you are. Sentinel-1 remote file access, where do they connect to? What happened to this file? Can we retrieve the file covertly without the end user knowing to clear the alert? McAfee can even show the history of the USB throughout the enterprise. This team plugged it in, copied this data, shared it with that team. This team printed it. That's all available at one click. What do they copy and paste to AI for ChatGPT? That's all through McAfee, which in a regulated environment, that's normal. That's what we're supposed to have for network security. But you don't opt into that for home. If someone's facing that, the initial key resources, if you had to log off right now, go ask rose.com, safeescape.org, or if you need help, help at safeescape.org. A good book Chris recommended a while back, Smart Girl's Guide to Privacy. A lot of ways to get initial help for resources to get someone off the X. So you have the initial information security principles of data confidentiality, data availability, availability, data integrity. For someone looking at a domestic situation, we need to control the environment, have the data available. We'll get to that. And identity theft, because that's actually binary. There's either going to be data theft, identity theft, or there's not. There's no two ways about it. And it's pretty strict with how you have to report this. So first, controlling the environment. The horrible joke is, well, everyone on the plane died, but the black box is okay with all the data. The important thing is saving the person. If you're truly in danger, that comes first and foremost over encrypting your drives or encrypting your phone. You have to get out of danger. Social leaks, we'll get to that. Data security, that's also key. for not having someone who thinks they're a NSA level hacker when they change the radio switch and the option button on an iPhone. In my experience with OSC since 2019, it's not been hacking. We've had one case where it's truly legitimate hacking, but the rest of it, it's almost Agatha all along. Yes, I'm going with the mnemonics from, I can't talk, from pop culture. Apple, Google, Amazon, telecommunications, home devices, auto tracking. This is where most of the data leak stalking comes in, is from our general commercial events. So when someone comes to you and says, I think I'm being stalked, my ex is monitoring me, they always show up. Listen for the indicators of compromise, the IOCs, just as any blue team digital forensics incident responder would do, to determine the indicators of compromise. What's the probable known of attack vector? They're not reading your mind from across town and getting data somehow. Just because something is improbable doesn't mean it's impossible. So you don't want to rule out some things that might seem a little bit more esoteric, such as they can see my IP address through what method they learned through Spotify. Well, we've seen that. Things you wouldn't think would happen commercially, that can be exploited. But first and foremost, if the person truly is in trouble, they need to get off the X. Making sure that's Chris not pinging me saying you can't hear me. If you're truly in danger, get out of danger. Live to see the next day. Old manager at CIA had two great lines. He said, you never have to ask permission to leave a dangerous situation. You have to be alive to get in trouble for leaving. No bad situation ever got better by sticking around. I've said that a lot in career situations, dating situations, and long-term sticky personal relationships that we're discussing here for OSC. If you're going to get off the X, we're on the verge here of you leave versus they leave. If you think something might truly go volatile, have your ID, your cash, your phone, car keys, charger in a place you can get them quickly. Maybe even have a backup copy kept somewhere safe, such as if you have to physically badge into an office, leave it there, because the adversary getting into your office is going to be a different level of police involvement versus they came back into the house and got your cell phone. There was one veterinarian, she kept her key documents in the medicine safe at her practice, because someone breaking into a vet's office and breaking into the drug safe is going to get a far different response from police than just, oh, they took my phone off the shelf when they walked out to go to work the next day. If you're keeping electronic devices with you, is there stalkerware on it? These are things to consider before you take it with you. Now, to diverge, what if they leave? That's a common thing where you've got covert narcissists, abusers. They may leave to go to the next girlfriend, next boyfriend, next partner, whatever. Whatever reason they're leaving the current environment. So we'll start at this. What if they leave? The first thing, to harden your perimeter, call your landlord, call the locksmith, physically change the locks on the house. So we'll go through a little bit of a timeline here. First things first, change the locks, security codes, however that happens. The garage door remote access frequency, that was added. I was working with an attorney at their house. They pulled down the flap on the outside of their garage door and it said, if you've forgotten your code to get in the house, reset it here. So basically, just like the name, username, admin, password, admin. These are things you need to consider changing first and foremost before you even consider the data. Again, the police response to, they left, I changed the locks with the locksmith, they broke in the door, they broke in versus they unlocked the door. That's going to be a different speed and different urgency for the response. This is the first thing. So in our fictitious scenario here, landlord's on the way, locksmith is on the way, the keys are getting changed. We're going to want to go to your router and change your Wi-Fi password. If you know this is a known safe machine on a known safe network, we want to change your passwords and security questions. But it's okay to lie. The security questions aren't looking for the truth. They're just looking for the response. Where did your parents meet? Tatooine. Okay, so you say Hoth. How did they meet? Well, he was 16. She was 16. He was 8. He thought she was an Earth angel. She bought him out of slavery. 9 years later, they got married on Naboo. You can change all that. It doesn't have to be something you can find on genealogy.com. Where did your parents meet? Ooga Wagadoogoo. What were they doing there? Taking down the Houthi missile defense system. I don't know. It doesn't have to be something easily identifiable. But change the password, change your security system to something unique. So we're going to start looking at the router. Are there any devices connected that you don't recognize? Okay, there's my Galaxy phone. There's my iPhone. I'm being equal opportunity here. So you have your Android, you have your iPhone, you have your laptop on the network. Yes, I recognize all these devices. This is good. If there's something unusual there, stop, document it, take a screenshot, call your trusted technical friend, call law enforcement, but there's something worthy of notice here that this is, and we'll get to the devices that might be there, but this is your first shot. Is everything connected to my network supposed to be here? I can't cover every router in the production. Remember to look for your specific model when you're doing this. But when you're setting this up, you may want to go to Comcast, to Cox, Xfinity, whoever. Get a new router, get a new IP address, and then set up a safety phrase with the ISP. So if you call to reset things, there's only a catchphrase that you would remember. Again, going back to Ooga Wagadoogoo, good luck guessing that if you have to call and give a passphrase to the help desk technician. So you got your iPhone in your hand. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to privacy security under settings, go to safety check. This is a fantastic new addition on iOS 18, I don't know, for Apple, but this is going to show you or give you the option to reset everything, all access to your phones, or view your network security. What is being shared? Do I want to share this? Because if you're sharing your phone location, first go to Find My Phone and sign out, because you don't want to have your phone beacon out your moves just for its native OS environment. Other things to look at under that middle column is what devices are using my Apple ID, so that when I have an iMessage from Chris and Tony at OSE, it's not just on my phone, it's showing up on every single iMessage device out there. So if I've left a device behind when I leave the bad situation, they're getting drop copies of all my correspondence. They didn't stalk you. No offense. You didn't change your password. You forgot to log out of this device. So here's your opportunity to reset your password, log these other devices out. Take a screenshot if you need to for evidence, if it gets that far. But this is the first big step, is to make sure your data is truly where you want it to be. This came about from Pegasus NGO no-click malware, meaning someone can just send a message to your phone and load malware. You can go to lockdown mode, turn this on if you're truly concerned. My ex is a black hat malware developer for a hostile foreign country. Of course, yes, we'll lock it all down. We'll prohibit any other devices from connecting. Any profile configuration, such as work configurations on your phone, that also be erased. Shared albums will be erased. This is going to get a fantastic quick triage for shared connections. Next, this is one of the big ones. The adversary, had access to the phone. They went to messages, they went to text message forwarding, and then they started forwarding their messages, your messages, to your device. That's not hacking, that's changing a radio button. As Brett Shaver said, we need to put the suspect behind the keyboard. It's real difficult to put a suspect behind a touch screen. Whether or not we can get evidence is secondary to being able to preserve your privacy going through this divorce, this split, this escape. So make sure those are turned off. Next one, this is actually big, working with NATO SOF officers over in Belgium. People would share their photo albums with their family. So they're going to sensitive sites because they've gone down to share my location, share my family sharing. This is on plus family sharing. So me, mom, peepaw are getting pictures of horrific war zone pictures, weapons of mass destruction, other war zone related things being shared with the family. Horrible OPSEC for the military. We also don't want to have that bleed over here for your personal situation where there's a restraining order on your ex, but you're still sharing all the family photos inadvertently with them, plus the metadata of where the photo was taken. So this is another great place to start really clamping down the 80-20 rule. This hits most of the issues we've had. I see there's a Q&A. We'll get back to that in a second here. Going over to Android, same thing. We're going to want to go down this list and see where is my Google account logged into. Is everything look copacetic? Is this where it should be? If not, document it, disconnect it, change your password. There's a thing called Google Takeout that stores every single action ever taken with your Google account It's takeout.google.com. The bad is if the adversary gets access to this, they've got access to everything you've ever done. The benefit to this, we have pulled it for us for some clients. We can see when the account was accessed, account passwords reset, failed logins. So you want to protect it, but it's also good as a source of indisputable evidence from a third party that the end user can't delete, for better or for worse. And it could be evidence if you need it to show this person tried to log in this time from this account, or they added themselves to this account. It's there. I realize we got a lot of data to cover in about 30 minutes left. So Facebook, no, it's not on Agatha, but yeah. So we'll go account, settings, security, and then active sessions to see where else are you logging into your Facebook. This is a big vulnerability. And the biggest issue is your call data records. As you're reading that, this harvests all the messages from your phone, agree to it terms and conditions. It's terrible for data privacy. But again, for litigation, this is indisputable documentation that every message from this phone was A to B, and here's what was said. So if someone's modifying a screenshot, a lot of apps out there that do that, a lot of websites that do that, to make it, for memes. This is going to show whatever legal entity you've got that I didn't send this message. This was generated by the site because it's not in the log for Facebook Messenger showing everything from my phone, nor does it show anything from their device that it was received by me. It'll clear you of that. It'll absolve you of any finger pointing or any blame. But it's also not something you want to have lost in the hands of the adversary. Getting back to changing passwords on a Mac device, if you go to Keychain, you can go through, and this is one of the biggest ways we found that people have their password compromised. You go to Keychain and select the account. I chose Infuse 2017. It's a long defunct forensic conference. You click on that, type in the system password, which you had to have to log into the system, and you're going to see the clear text password of the guidance for this conference. The same principle applies to the Gmail accounts, to Facebook, to TikTok, whatever's on the Mac laptop is going to be recoverable. So you've got to change your passwords and assume the adversary has these that are stored in clear text on your device. So we're wrapping up the Mac here. System preferences, go to sharing, users, and groups, because you want to see if they've installed an SSH shell or some other way to come back to your device and log in remotely. We did have a case with this where remote login was enabled. We found the user's SSH that did go to a FBI for reporting. You've got what other apps load on setup for this Mac device. So here, OpenVPN, no big deal. It used to not be a big deal. I don't know about now. But we can see whatever else is logged in by an adversary under your account, and you have a chance to remove it after you document it. Wrapping this up, one of the hallmarks of this presentation is being persistent and thorough. Same attorney I was helping with a privacy issue bought a 65-inch TV off of Facebook Marketplace. The seller, it's not worth moving across town for $200. These things are huge. You're more likely to break it than you are to move it. They stay logged into Facebook and Twitter, now X. So, of course, the attorney logged out. They want to be beyond reproach for this. But if you forgot you logged into Twitter and Facebook after you've moved out, your ex can still see everything that's on those accounts. One, I don't want to see Twitter at 65 inches. That's just, yeah. There's nothing on Twitter I want to see that. But these are other things to consider logging out when you're leaving a bad environment. Talked about data loss from family and friends. You might have the best OPSEC in the world, but friends and family may not be as security minded. Linda's going up to the clubhouse for dinner. Don't tell anyone. Well, sorry, it's on Facebook. Now everyone knows. So now the stalker knows I don't need to follow our target. I can follow the ancillary targets and find where this person's going because you're still broadcasting. This is something you might either have to stop sharing with friends and family or have a conversation about locking down their security systems as well. Ring doorbells, the quality of work with the police to retrieve some data for car crashes, hit and runs. the quality of these cameras, the data, the 4K quality, superb. It's amazing what these actually capture. It's very easy to add yourself to the access control list and kind of forget that you've added your X to the doorbell. They can see everything that happens coming and going from your house. There's an NSA level bug at your front door that you installed and added. Remember to remove offboarding. Remember to remove the X from this. You're not being stalked. You just didn't have their access to the doorbell. Same for Amazon Alexa data. That a voice history and everything that's said there is going to be available if they have access to your account. So review your access to Amazon Alexa. We can log in who's got access to this, because you don't want your ex to hear the snippets of your conversations from your own house, plus the implied trust of, well, yeah, they moved out, but you knew they had joint access to your credit card with Amazon. They maxed out your credit card, buying all this fun stuff, but you didn't remove them. That means you authorize this. You're now responsible. So they've done whatever they've done to require OSC help. Now you're on the hook for $10,000 to Amazon or whatever because you didn't remove them. So split them off of the Amazon access account to the credit cards. It's another just, yeah, a lot of modern conveniences to remove them. It's overwhelming. The next, starting to pick up space here, email, mail, PDF trap. A couple of new features for marketing like MailChimp Superhuman lets the sender see when the email has been opened, where it was opened, geolocation of where it was opened, roughly the IP. So if you know she's got relatives in Naples, Florida, and you see they opened 2 emails in Florida, there's a fair guess they're probably down at the aunt's house, uncle's house, down there where they're trying to get away from the target or from the harasser. So this beacon is going to be there and tell them how many times they opened the email. Gmail's added this as well to see how many times this was opened, if it was opened. A little bit more insidious, DocSend for Outlook allows you to embed a beacon so they can see how many times you've read the PDF. You send a separation request, restraining order, whatever. They've read pages 1 through 7 5 times. They've read page 9 14 times. Well, what's on page 9 they're concerned about? That's not something really that was ever intended in law, to have the adversary know how many times you've read a document. There's a very simple trick. Use paper, use ink. On a Mac, open up Terminal, type MDLS, metadata list, drag and drop the PDF in from the target, hit enter, and you're going to be able to see if there's a beacon, and this is a screenshot of a beacon embedded in a PDF. If we have more time, I can show you, give a demo, but this is going to show you this PDF has a beacon relaying all my actions with this back to the target. So again, once you print it, you can look at the printed document all day long. They'll never know it. You don't want the adversary to know what's going on with your legal situation. So again, home access for part of the Agatha mnemonic, man in the middle for real world interception. If you have informed delivery by the post office, you can get a PDF JPEG of all the incoming mail to your mailbox. That's insidious because if they set this up knowing you're going to get legal documents, court summons appearances, possible checks, and they know this is coming the day before, they can come by your mailbox, steal the key document. You've got everything else in there. You don't know this key document has been removed because you assume everything's good. So as part of this triage, either try to sign up for informed delivery or ask in person. If it would tell you there's already there, go to the post office, talk to the postmaster general to get things rectified, because one, that person no longer lives there, and the post office takes mail tampering quite serious. There's so much to talk about for digital stalking that there's only so little time. This is a little more subtle, but in a normal traditional relationship, if you've got a business travel planned, you can add in Concur to TripIt that your partner will get a drop copy of all your confirmations, your travel itineraries, hotel reservations, which is normal. But in a toxic ending style situation or trying to escape the ex, did you remember to take their account off of your TripIt and your Concur account getting a copy of this, because now they can cancel your trip, change it. You're not going to Grand Caymans, you're now going to Ottawa in the middle of February. Good luck. Or they could completely cancel your trip altogether, cancel your hotel. A lot of ways things can go sideways, but again, it's all the little things you have to look out for. It's not difficult. You just have to be cognizant of all the ways they can still gain intel on your life. Grug says, the GRUGQ, he's a alleged KGB liaison in Bangkok. It's Twitter. Anybody can be anybody on Twitter. He says use Signal, use Tor. I say you assume your devices are compromised. We've got FlexSpy. This is one of the more common spyware tools we encounter at Safe Escape. Don't carry anything you don't control. If you're not sure if your phone's clean, don't carry it with you. If you have to have meetings, have personal meetings, leave your electronics behind. I'll meet you at Starbucks. Sorry, Tony. I'll meet you at Starbucks tomorrow at noon. Phone stays home. You have your safe, secure meeting where they can't inadvertently eavesdrop on. Have nonverbal paroles arranged with your family members. So in light of the college football championship on Monday night, you might be a Michigan fan, put something online. If you ever see me wear an Ohio State shirt or hat, you know something has gone wrong because I would never wear it. Or calling to say, hey, Mom, do you have a picture of Dad and my sister and the four of us at the Ohio State parade? Things you would never say to alert them something's gone wrong. Please meet me somewhere pre-established. And unless you were privy to that private conversation, you would never know what the operational security of that question means. So for MSpy, iPhone Modern, journal overview of how this works. Sure, you can see everything, call log, Snapchat, line, text messages, where they've been, the video files, the browser history. Sure, you can see all that, but the mechanics for it are a little bit tough. You have to have the user's name and password given to MSpy. The phone has to be synced to the cloud over Wi-Fi while connected to AC power. And then MSpy is going to download an image from the iCloud of your phone, parses it today, and gives a nightly report to the adversary. That's a lot of what ifs. Easiest way to fix it, change your password. Android monitor is a little more insidious. Alice creates a phishing SMS for Bob's phone within the MSpy. Bob clicks on a link, loads the malware. MSpy is now collecting all the data for the adversary. A little bit tougher, you got to change your password. Again, on Google. One of the rougher ones we saw, same for sending an SMS device on WhatsApp. They'll send blurry photos of kittens or puppies or whatever. The target clicks on the link to see the cute picture. It loads stalkerware on the device. And again, same methodology, sends the data over to the attacker. Good news is you've got a little bit of tamper detection on your iPhone if you have settings, battery, and battery level. And you can see at 3 a.m, Safari and TuneIn Radio are being used at my phone. That's unusual, or you've got the comfort to know my phone was untouched. Nothing happened with my phone while I slept for 8 hours. It's going to give you a clue to what apps were accessed while you slept. Again, if you're that level to check your phone, you may want to consider getting off the X and finding somewhere else to live. If you're concerned about your Mac having malware, reboot your device, go Command R, hold those two down together. You'll get a built-in Mac OS recovery system where you can get help online, which is poetic because you can go to Gmail, whatnot, send a message, help at safeescape.org on a clean browser without any malware loaded on the device. It doesn't retain any data, but it's going to give you the purest, cleanest access to the internet without any malware loaded from the adversary. Getting a traditional spyware device. Okay, so I found a device. I think they were listening to me at my house. Usually technical surveillance devices require painfully slow cable traffic coordination and approval before the device is issued for use overseas. A lot of these same devices that you couldn't get inside the CIA are now available from Amazon, better quality, available overnight, or expedited same-day delivery. this phone charger. Let's see if this video is going. There we go. It looks like a normal phone charger. Plug the USB device, SD card in. Put the one-way mirror faceplate over it, and now you have a camera that's tracking everything that happens. And it looks horrible. There we go. There we go. But it's only writing to the SD card, USB power, and it's limited to that SD card storage. Granted, there's terabyte sizes out now, but someone has to physically come collect that USB drive. So what's going to come and go from your house that they wouldn't usually have access to? So left the property, they're going to shift over to things like this, where it's a 1080p camera embedded in the clock with 4K audio. But the downside is it's got to be connected to AC power to always record the data and transmit it out back to Wi-Fi for the adversary collected over the internet. So looking at what devices are plugged into AC power that are new, that's a real easy tell. Remember earlier we talked about the router and what devices are connected. This is going to be clock or whatever name from Temu, but here's a clock connected to my router. Well, why is my clock connected to a router? Clocks have been around for thousands of years without Wi-Fi. Why is this one? So this is more evidence of stalking and tampering. This would be where you'd want to call law enforcement in for this, not to touch it, go outside, make your phone call. This is getting into physical evidence where OSC needs to hand off to law enforcement to let them actually prosecute this. A couple other devices, you have a 780p camera embedded in the air freshener, Blink Mini, which is a literal camera connected to Wi-Fi and power. Again, you see the tail there with the cord. The last device is a USB drive that does 128 hours of audio recording. So one's an obvious tell with the Blink Mini. You're going to see there's a camera there in your house, or it wasn't one. The air freshener, they've got to physically come collect the data off the device. Same for the USB drive. Also, they've got to actually physically process it. Whereas now, yes, you can upload the data file to ChatGPT to get a transcript. Just a couple of months ago, that didn't exist. So impossible doesn't mean improbable, but they physically have to come collect these devices. So a lot of you are thinking, I heard it out there, well, what about a nanny cam? Yes, we've seen that where the nanny cam was put behind the mom's computer, where the nanny cam went back to the adversary, able to retrieve the SD card, change the batteries, and look at what's going on with the mom and her keystrokes. Again, that's more of a law enforcement technical prosecution than anything we can do at OC. These things do happen. Getting, again, into the electronic surveillance devices, with the, if you see the ear icon for the iPhone on the screen, you can have enhanced audio listening where your iPods can use the microphone on your iPhone to listen from another room, which is great. If your parents are older, losing their hearing, it's a nice bridge between needing a hearing aid and just the iPhone helping you. It's the same thing. It's the presentation's a little bit different. So if the X is leaving the iPhone here and they've gone off and you and your family talk about the plan to escape the abuser, the iPhone can still sit there and broadcast that within Bluetooth range 30, 45 feet, and they can still eavesdrop within the house. We're getting more esoteric use cases, but these do happen. This does require closer proximity. Available for $49.95 plus $25 a month. You can put a bug underneath your ex's car, or they can put one under your car. It's going to be tracked through Amazon. The service is going to be there, paid to a credit card. And it's about the size of, do we still say pack of cigarettes, pack of gum, pack of mints? I don't know. But that's going to be physically under the car. And that's going to be, again, evidence that someone has done something to you tied to a credit card, which gets into law enforcement world, not OSC. This is what beacon collection looks like. So this is in Charlotte. And I lied to you, this isn't a beacon. I didn't necessarily lie, I misled. This isn't beacon from a tracking device. This is the tracking location from a social media app, run through Magnet Axiom. That data is parsed out, put in a spreadsheet, and now, even though I don't have a tracking device on my phone per se, this is my driving history with Twitter on. So these things are still there in available if the X wanted to go that far. So be cognizant of what data you're leaking out. If you think you're being tracked with a fitness beacon, get rid of the beacon. Stop using it. It's really simple, not to be glib, but you can go a month, a year without putting your data out there. If you're truly worried about being stalked, don't carry the beacon. That's why we had the forced contract with NATO SOF, was to basically tell them, here's one of the biggest way you're giving away your secret locations is by using this device, this Fitbit device that's showing the way there's a secret base here in the middle of the desert. Stop doing it. All right, it's too much, right? I want to order a pizza. Well, again, going back to being persistent and thorough, Domino's or whatever pizza you prefer is Domino's Pizza. I don't know. Terms and conditions apply. This is still going to have that primary address where every pizza delivery is going. If it used to be Pizza Tuesday with the kids at this house, well, now we know your Pizza Tuesday is Pizza Wednesday at your new apartment. There's the address. Now the X knows where you are because you didn't change your password. The Domino's, and yes, this is a lot to track. All right, fine. I wouldn't get pizza. I go to the gym. Cool. Planet Fitness, same thing. Is going to track all your logons for all of your gym locations, so the adversary knows he or she goes to the gym at this time every week. That's where I can find them, or I know the house is empty because they didn't change their password to this as well. So all that to say, most stalkerware isn't magic. It's Agatha all along. Remember, Apple, Google, Amazon, TCOM, home access. If you have a shared data plan, a phone plan with the adversary, split off, get your own plan. That way they can't see your call data history. Identity theft, this is a very simple topic. It's binary. If there's identity theft, because going through a split, they've got opportunity, pressure, and rationalization. They wouldn't have this job without my support. I deserve this. Money's there. This is what I'm doing. And this is where the identity theft and the fraud comes in during the divorce or during the split. Very simple for US listeners. Go to identitytheft.gov, report it clearly, concisely, and you get an actual police case that you can use with your attorney, with banks, to start to remediate the fraud that's occurring on your account. Or if there's no fraud, identity theft, cool, you didn't need this. Data availability, to echo a little what Chris said, well, if it's not documented, it ain't. If it ain't in cable traffic, it ain't. You have to document these events when it happens as you're helping this person. Because if you don't, you're going to be left with this bevy of files with a generic file name. Good luck going back and remembering which file is which. Documented as you go, never cross the same fence twice. I met with them, I found this, email it to yourself. That way there's a record. Also for availability, be available for the other person. If you're going through a real tough situation, they came to you as help as a liaison to OSC or from OSC. This will pass in their lives. They will remember that you were there to listen to them, to go get coffee or whatever, just to be a good human. It's not hard to do. So if you got this, if you have core data throughout this divorce process or the split or getting away from the abuser, a primary copy, an alternate copy, a contingency copy left with the attorney, left with your parents in another town, and an emergency copy left in a safe deposit box. But have more than one copy of key data for this abuse process, so you're getting someone away, because 2 is 1, 1 is none. If you don't have it backed up, it's going to fail. The more critical the operation, the more likely this data is not going to be retained. So a couple of things to remember as we're wrapping up here. Nobody has unlimited resources. At some point, every country, well, US and the debt one, maybe not, but generally, most people don't have unlimited resources. They can't keep throwing money at a case forever. Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is usually the easiest one. The reason they know that every Thursday night you go to the gym is that's your old habit. You keep going to the gym. It doesn't take technical means to know this is still your habit. You're still going to the gym. They may not stalk your phone. They just know your habits. So look at the simplest explanation. Also, who's going to process the collection? Okay, they've got a bug running in my house for 4 years straight of conversations with my attorney. who's going to sit and listen to that? Who's going to run it through ChatGPT, listen to it? Who's going to care? At some point, it's just too much data to process. So to wrap it up, remember to change your passwords, change your locks, report events to law enforcement as it happens, document events as they go along. This is my Twitter handle, X handle. And again, it's probably not hacking. It's almost always Agatha all along. Change those passwords from the situation come up, document it. And that's going to fix most of the issues that you're encountering with the domestic situation. And with that, I'll stop screen sharing.
All right. I had trouble pressing the button, but I pressed the button. I'm pretty proud of that. No, that was great. That was very informative. Does anyone have any questions for Will, either in chat or raising your hand or in the Q&A? Okay, and I just want to, Will's had some really great advice in there, really spot on that in a whole lot of cases, we tend to overthink, we as technologists especially, tend to overthink a lot of things. There's a running joke whenever something breaks, it's always DNS, or it's never DNS, depends which side you want to take on it. But in a whole lot of cases, it's the fundamentals that end up making the big difference. There's a case, Will, you know which one I'm talking about immediately, one of the first that he helped with, where there was a person who had been stalked for years and years and years, and it turned out just to be a simple, I think it was an Apple sharing setting, if I'm not mistaken. But just that one little change was able to put an end to years of torment. So very important to start simple. I've forgotten that acronym that you'd used before, Will, Agatha all along, but I love it.
It is. It's easy.
As always, you can always, if you have any questions for Will or any of the presenters, you can always hit questions@protectcon.org, and we'll make sure that gets relayed. I'm going to go ahead and drop in the chat here one more time now that we've gone through all of the presenters. Drop the survey link once again. I'll also make sure that's sent out later. And again, if you've logged into Zoom, you should get it automatically. Taking that survey just helps us to understand how to better put on events for you and better meet your needs as advocates, technologists, or wherever role you come from. So that brings us to a close for this year for Protectcon 2025. This has been a new format for us. We've done different events, we've done different webinar formats, we've done live and in person, and often every iteration of training, awareness, and everything else that we can. Doing this format was newer for us, but I think we were able to work through some of the technical challenges we faced in the beginning. Really appreciate everyone's involvement, appreciate everyone coming, and hope you found this as valuable as we did. The sessions, as we mentioned, were recorded. All but one or two, I think, were recorded due to consent, which is cool. Consent is cool. And so we'll make sure you get a copy of that, and that'll be sent out within the next couple of days, or as long as it takes to get it edited and uploaded and everything else. Once that's done, it'll be sent out, and we can get that to you then. In the meantime, I invite you to sign up for our newsletter so we can catch you on every new events. Always feel free to reach out to safeescape.org. Really appreciate the engagement, appreciate the feedback, and hoping to see everyone at the next one. Thank you, everybody.